All right, part 2 of the review for the last test, Unit 8 test. And I lost where I am. All right, and of course, remember what a monsoon is. Remember, it's a seasonal wind, and so you can have dry monsoons when they come from the mountains in the north and blow over India, and also in China, and that's dry, so you don't get any rain with it. And then you have wet monsoons, and that's when the monsoon winds come from the ocean over the continent, and of course brings moisture with it and causes rain. So make sure you remember that differentiation. Going back to India and Pakistan again, we talked about the partition. You also need to know about the piece of land they've fought over. They've been fighting over, I say been fighting, but they've had a lot of tension over Kashmir, which is a piece of land like very far northern point of India, and they've almost gone to nuclear war over that twice, over that region. So just remember that part. That's pretty easy. Some more maps dealing with, again, the physical geography and why people do what they do in those particular areas. Another political cartoon. And then get another question about the Green Revolution. Green Revolution was 1940s to the 70s, and that's when you had a lot of innovation in agriculture as far as being able to produce more crops, genetically modify seeds and things of that sort. And the big impact that had is that they were able to produce a lot more food, and so it was able to support a higher population in countries like China, instead of having a mass famine, killing millions and millions of people. So it allowed for more crops, stronger crops, which also may be giving us cancer now. So, and then we got a little graph about climate. That should be pretty easy. A little vignette. That one's easy though. All right, caste system in India. We talked about that, how people are born into a certain caste and you cannot move up and down in it until you die. And of course they believe in reincarnation, that they'll reincarnate to a different caste. But we also see these kind of social structures in Latin America as well. They don't believe in reincarnation, but the idea that you're born into a certain social class and you're stuck there. And that's how you're treated. So we see a lot of this type of practice in a lot of societies around the world, especially traditional societies, meaning, based on like ancient, oh, voice cracked, but ancient beliefs and stuff like that. So you'll see social classes where people are born into a certain class and they stay there. All right, and then going back to China and their policy on population growth, of course, as we talked about, they limit family size as much as they can. And then globalization, that's one thing we've talked about some. I give you the example of like McDonald's and how it's everywhere and things of that sort. The other idea that goes with it, really the big thing, is international trade. So with globalization, you're seeing much more increase of international trade, and so now we don't depend upon ourselves just to supply ourselves with our needs and our resources. We depend on everybody else in the world, so we're all interconnected. That's why when our economy fails or breaks down, has a falling out, many of the other economies around the world do too. And also if you see a struggle in the Japanese economy or the Greek or German or whatever, you'll see our economy dip down as well, because we all depend upon each other now, because we're all globalized. Another little vignette about Tibet. Remember we talked about Tibet. It was conquered by China, and they want their freedom big time. The Chinese treat the people in Tibet very poorly, and so a lot of them try to sneak out of Tibet, and that's a little vignette for you to read. And then other than that, just another map. Just know, especially for your maps, know where the mountains are, where the deserts are, where the rainforests are, what areas are more humid subtropical, what areas are arid. Know all those, because on the map it may not necessarily show those things on there, those physical features. You just have to know that, oh, this area has mountains or this area is a desert. You just have to already know that. So make sure you look over the physical map, especially in the book, know where all those different physical features are. But especially like the Himalaya Mountains, Hindu Kush Mountains, the Gobi Desert, and then as far as the east coast of China, know where your humid subtropical region is, where you see like more rice growing and things of that sort, and then where it becomes more arid, and then also where it becomes subarctic, because there's part of China that's also in the subarctic region. So know that, like, you have to have that memorized pretty much. So anyways, if you have any questions, just come in tutoring before school tomorrow. I'll talk to y'all later.